Well, I kind of come to the realization a while back when I was trying to figure out how old my cat is, that a lot of my viewers are probably as old or younger than my cat.
How old is your cat?
I figured out she's either 14 or 15, probably.
What's her name?
Kitty.
Oh.
Yes, that is her name.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think you've mentioned this before.
Yes.
In Vertigo's defense, he was like 10 years old at the time.
And if you want to put it another way, I've also had that cat approximately about 40% of my own life, which has been pretty long.
Did you adopt it, or?
I think this girl who lived close by, like, they had adopted it, I guess, when she was really young. But they had like those annoying yappy dogs, and it kept bothering her all the time, so they worried about it. So they wanted to get rid of it, so I took her.
There's a joke about you and her pussy somewhere in there, but I can't find it.
That was two lesbians.
You're really not trying.
I'm not. I'm sorry. It's 4 o'clock here, 4 a.m. So
4 a.m.
And on that note, welcome everyone to the VGL podcast. Let's introduce ourselves in reverse alphabetical order as per tradition.
VertigoTeaparty, how do you do, wankers?
RavenValor95 here. Hey, how's it going, innit?
Hello, it's Baddragon here. I'm IceBear Judges. So now that we're all introduced.
That accent gets me every time.
I could definitely strike out on a career with that.
You
could leave you all behind, but I choose not to.
That's when you make t-shirts for the channel, you gotta have that.
Yeah.
Hello. And it's just a derpy looking dragon saying it.
People will just swarm me saying, do the voice, do the Mad Dragon voice. And then like Mad Dragon will be here like, I'm actually Mad Dragon, and you're like, no you're not, you don't sound anything like him.
You sound totally different. Stop trying to steal his fame, you jerk.
Yeah. He just
like in 15 to 20 years, like you just get so tired of people coming up telling you to do the voice that you snap at them, and then you get this reputation online of being a total asshole in real life.
Isn't that what FPS Doug went through? I'm fairly certain that's why.
Anyway, now that we've sort of worked out the trajectory of my fame and subsequent career based off that voice, we should probably move on to the more traditional topic of what you've been playing lately. I'm going to go reverse alphabetical with this again because I need a minute to think about what I've been playing.
Well, I think we can guess what I've been playing.
It's Diablo 3.
Bloodborne?
Oh, okay. I mean, that's a topic on the news agenda, but you can go for it.
Yeah, I think it's on there because we always talk about it, so you might as well.
No, that's a story. That's a story.
Yeah, it's written on the story chart as Bloodborne. That's it. There's no Bloodborne announces new DLC or fixes major loading bugs, which it finally did.
Thank God.
Yeah, my lord, how did they think that was okay? 40-second loading screens in a game where you're supposed to die a lot and go back to your base and back to the other area a lot. Like what?
Sounds like Bethesda games on the 360.
Oh God, it was so terrible. But I'm still not finished with it yet. Like to be fair, I spent a lot of time, like especially in that game, kind of going back, especially when. Spoiler free here, things hit the fan, or I guess start hitting the fan. I go back to see like what changed. Is this different? And sometimes I find stuff, sometimes I don't. And I also got one emote in particular, which I won't name, which seems to, at least in one case, do something, causes something to happen. So I've been going around trying to find all these little things and trying to piece the story together. I've kind of been rereading item descriptions. I gotta say, like, there's never been a game that I've spent this much time just running around trying to learn more about the story, learn about the world, and just kind of explore. Like, it's never happened before. So kudos for that, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, the only example I can think of is what I did with Transistor, because they, like the powers you unlock and stuff, have backstory on certain characters, and it kind of fleshes out the lore for the world. And there's also data booths, which kind of do exactly the same, but it's on a much smaller scale because it's not as much of a detailed world. But yeah, good for them for including loads of detail.
Yeah, the detail is my favorite thing in Bloodborne for sure, because it's crazy just how realistic it feels. Like one detail you might not have noticed, but so once you beat the cleric beast on the bridge, there's a door you can't open, and then once you go through the rest of the game for a while, you find another door that says closed door, and you can't open it. If you drop a shining coin there, it's actually the door that you can't open at the cleric beast bridge, and they're actually connected in game space. So it's crazy that they actually even bothered to do that, since it's completely pointless. You can't open that. It's weird.
Wait, do what? I'm completely lost what you were trying to say there.
Basically, it seems like a door that connects two areas in game space, but isn't ever possible to be opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the Dark Souls thing, where you suddenly realize where you are in relation to everything else.
The world is like connected all together in a logical way, even though it may not make sense in terms of like gameplay, because you'll never go through that way. So it's cool that they even bother to do that. It's a neat little detail. Anything else, Vertigo, about Bloodborne you want to say?
I mean, yeah, pretty much the same thing. I mean, I've put a ton of hours into the game, but I guess I feel like we're still got quite a ways to go. Even though somebody was telling me on Twitter, like without spoilers, said I was actually pretty close to being, like, relatively close to being done. But yeah, it's been really good. Like I say, it's the story wise. Like every time I think I kind of start to wrap around my head about what's going on, like stuff happens, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm back to square one. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah. During my first playthrough, I had no idea what was going on. It was just like, you're a hunter, hunt beasts. All right, I'm hunting beasts. Now there's a giant beast, and now there's like these guys with like snake heads, and what's going on with this giant spider? Is that a giant moon? Oh god, is this Majora's Mask all over again? And then it's like, whoa.
Here, have some slugs.
Yeah. And then apparently I have to start eating umbilical cords. It's like, what the fuck is this game?
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a visceral move there.
Yeah.
As in the company.
Oh, I thought you were referencing that you can do a visceral attack in the game, and that's what they're called. Instead of backstabs, they're visceral attacks.
I actually had no idea that was a thing. No, I just noted that visceral games kind of like to... Oh, well, I suppose it was only really in Dead Space.
I hope they don't do that in the new Star Wars game. Force you to eat umbilical cords in the Star Wars. The Ewoks will be displeased with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have a thing about killing babies. Did they do Dante's Inferno as well, or was that someone else?
I think that was them. I'm not sure, though. I'll have to check.
I forget who did it. It wasn't from or anything, but...
It was EA published it, I think. Oh, I might be crazy about that one, actually.
God damn it, I don't care about the book. I want to know about the game. Yeah, Visceral Games.
Oh, it was Visceral. Yeah, so they seem to like put in like children.
Artificial Mind and Movement did the PSP version? What?
Well, I'll remember that for the next
I didn't
time
know there was a PSP version of Dante's Inferno. What the fuck?
You've been missing out all these years.
Apparently.
Could have been killing stillborn children in the second circle of hell or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to Raven?
Well, just quickly about Bloodborne. I platinumed it. So, even though Maddragon's not here, suck it, Maddragon. Suck it. I platinumed Bloodborne.
That is, mate.
But yeah, finally did it. Platinumed my first ever Souls-styled game. So, go me. Very fun game. Took me about 57 hours. And... fuck those Chalice dungeons. Fuck them. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about Bloodborne.
Okay. So Raven, what have you been playing lately besides Bloodborne, please?
Well, after playing Bloodborne, I decided to play something a bit tonally different. Call of Duty 2. Recently someone, I forget their name, Noah Cadwell something, they posted this long 2-hour analysis about all the Call of Duty games, and I realized I hadn't played Call of Duty 2 or Modern Warfare 3, so I'm playing through Call of Duty 2 now, and then I'm going to get to Modern Warfare 3 later. And it's interesting to see how similar it is, really. A lot of the gameplay beats are pretty much the same, you know, take cover, shoot. The only big difference between it is that the set pieces aren't anywhere near as large, and there's no sprint button. That's really the main difference between Call of Duty 2 and the later ones. That, and I guess there's also a smaller focus on story and characters. You don't have people like Makarov or Captain Price shouting at you. Well, you have Captain Price shouting at you, but it's not because he wants to like give you a Desert Eagle or kick your ass. It's just because you're being a silly. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting game. Very by the numbers, I guess. But it's weird to say that since I'm sure it was pretty revolutionary when it came out. Because I think like it came out when the Xbox 360 first came out, and its online play was like super crazy awesome to everyone who played the Xbox 360 and all that. But playing it now, it's very just generic.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that about a lot of shooters in retrospect, though.
Yeah, that's true, but I feel like, well, actually, I feel like some of them, like the older games, they start to feel very new in how old they are. Like Doom, it feels so different in comparison to like the modern day shooters. Even something like Doom 3, which is pretty slow, and Quake 4 as well, which is sort of like in that modern old style shooter, that doesn't seem to feel the same as Call of Duty 2, whereas Call of Duty 2 feels like it is definitely, it feels like it has the same DNA as a modern game. I'm not sure how to put it, but just the way it controls and feels, it feels very similar to these new styled games, whereas like something like Quake 4 or Doom 3, you can tell that they're different.
Okay.
I guess that's just a side effect because, you know, Call of Duty 2 is the biggest franchise in the world.
It kind of is the template.
Yeah. So everyone wants to be Call of Duty, and now because, you know, I'm playing the first ones, you can still see like where they came from.
Ever since I was a young boy, I've always wanted to be Call of Duty.
What are you, Battlefield? Yeah, but that's pretty much all I've been playing. Nothing really interesting. Hopefully, next podcast I'll come back with a more interesting game with Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, that leaves me, but like similarly, I've only been I've just been playing Crusader Kings 2 really with the Game of Thrones mod for my series. Because obviously I started that series over 2 years ago now. It's started out with a much older version of Crusader Kings 2, and obviously the mod needs to be compatible with the version for the save not to be, you know, for the save file to work. Well, for the mod to work. So I, for a long time, had it backdated to a beta version, but then I think they just basically had so many beta versions that they had to, well, basically I had to move up a beta version from like 1.08 to 1.111, I think. So I was getting pretty nervous about that because that was the second time I've had to update the game during the middle of the series, and there's always that fear that the mod's going to break and the series is going to be incomplete after 2 years. And it's my biggest series as well by like a country mile. So yeah, that was a concern. But and the first mod update for it that I installed actually didn't work. The save file didn't work, but luckily they patched it for the same version of Crusader Kings 2. So it does work. But yeah, like I've been basically recording that frantically to try and finish it before I'm forced to update it again, because I'm kind of worried the save file is going to break before the series ends. So yeah, I've been working on that. I mean, I haven't edited it. I've got a crap load of editing to do. You know, it's a while away from actually making it onto the channel, but I've got enough for the meantime. But yeah, I've been mostly playing that, and it's I honestly think it's been a long time since I played the base game of Crusader Kings, 2 because because I never feel like I should be playing it, not the mod. But like the Game of Thrones mod for that game is like almost perfect. Like it's probably the best Game of Thrones game there is, including
Telltale.
Yeah, the Telltale one, and whatever other ones are knocking around out there.
The RPGs.
Yeah, well, there was one RPG and a strategy game, and they were both meh. So that's not saying much with that, but I mean, I think the Game of Thrones mod for Mount and Blade Warband is probably quite good, but I'm really trying not to get into Warband again now, because I got other stuff to be doing.
It'll consume
I
you.
still have a tremendous amount of fun with Crusader Kings 2. The scale of it, and it just fits so perfectly with the Song of Ice universe, and the modders have done such a terrific job of getting so much detail into it. And the exciting thing is that, like I said, I'm using like version 1.1 something with the current one, but I think Crusader Kings 2 is up to patch like 2.5 or something like that now. And I think the mod at the moment, the one I use at the moment, doesn't only includes Westeros, but Essos is also included in the other ones, and there's so many different scenarios, and they've worked so hard on the and accuracy, and then the stuff that they've had to add in to flesh it out is very in keeping. It's definitely probably the best mod I've ever played for a game, and like that, those two things combined make Crusader Kings like one of my favorite games as well. So I do have a terrific time playing it. Do either of you play much Crusader Kings?
Nope.
Okay, it's probably good I was speaking for like 5 solid minutes without breathing then.
Yeah.
Vertigo, would I tempt you to check it out, or are you not really into that kind of game?
Crusader Kings, I definitely want to try it. At some point I have it.
Oh, cool.
Well, I wanted to try it out, but
totally get into it. But
you told me to play.
So long to
learn. You sort of, it's not like you have to be very, very familiar with it in order to play it and enjoy it, but it is something that sort of comes over time. Like I still learn the occasional thing about the game, although that could be partially through updates, because they do add, mostly the UI they've kind of been refining, which is good, because obviously a lot of menu-based stuff in that game. So
yeah, like I wanted to play Crusader Kings 2, but you told me that I should play Civilization 5 instead, because going from XCOM to Crusader Kings 2 was too big of a jump for me.
Well, I said Civ 5 first.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was off the back of a suggestion from you. So let's lend those comments some perspective. But
no perspective, only biased perspectives that make you look bad.
Well, Civ 5 is more accessible, but a lot more detailed than XCOM, and Crusader Kings 2 is probably more detailed than the two of them. So yeah, and you still haven't bloody played Civ 5 as far as I'm aware.
I'll get around to it. I just gotta play some Call of Duty first.
So whose fault is it really?
Vertigo's. No, Maddragon's.
Hey, mate, none of that. I could do this for a whole podcast.
I dare you. No, please don't.
Please pay me double for this, though.
All right, double of nothing. There you go.
Ah, not supposed to say. So I guess that section is actually gratifyingly brief, and we can move on to the news. Really
should I do a jingle?
Maddragon here. Yeah,
should I do it? Okay, I'll do a jingle. Let me think. Bump, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. News.
And that's us with the news. Silent Hills has been cancelled. PT can no longer be downloaded. Everybody supports Konami and their decisions.
No, read it as it is. It's Konami confirmed as shit.
Did I misread that line?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. So this is the news that the new Silent Hills game has been cancelled, and even the sort of extended demo thing for it, which was pretty well received and pretty interesting.
People said that it was one of the best horror games of all time. So what do Konami do? They fucking make it so you can't download it ever again. What the fuck are they thinking?
They're But I mean, it looked really intriguing. It looked like you said. I mean, I don't play an awful lot of horror games, but it did really seem quite outstanding. The way it worked and the concept it used. I mean, it's a space smaller than Gone Home, and it's like easily more engaging. Well,
yeah, and that was just
it's kind of hard to compare the two different genres, but like,
and that was just a teaser for for Silent Hills,
right.
which would be an open world game, because Kojima said like the Fox engine is designed around that, so most likely it will be an open world game. That's what he said, and it would be crazy to think of like what Silent Hills could have been, which most likely would have been fucking awesome. Ugh.
Was PT a free download?
It was a free download, yes. From, I think...
Why would they do it?
PlayStation Experience, or was it Sony's E3? I forget. But basically...
This is the kind of thing we need Baddragon for here.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't understand why they would just not allow you to even download it. Because even if you already had it downloaded, you can no longer re-download it from your download list. It's just gone. So now you got people having their PS4s on eBay with PT installed, selling for like thousands of dollars. Maybe this is what Konami was planning. Maybe they're in cahoots with Sony.
Sony don't get any money from that, though.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe it was in hopes that there'd be a big surge in purchases of PS4s so people could then sell them on eBay for a profit. There you go.
And maybe they were going to force people to buy old copies of the Silent Hills games. Maybe they're planning an HD re-release for like the least popular Silent Hills game, and that's
oh my god, it's Silent Hill Homecoming and Silent Hill Downpour HD for the new generation. Oh, I can see Konami doing that. That's a total Konami move. Don't even joke about that.
Oh god, who knows really what what was the reason given for the cancellation of Silent Hills? Did they run out of money, or do they just simply hate their audience?
I don't think they ever really gave a reason for why Silent Hills was cancelled.
Did everybody just sort of take it in their stride as one of the things that was bound to happen?
Well, Guillermo del Toro said in an interview, or sorry, not an interview, at like an expo.
I saw the thread on him, incidentally, just pointing out the number of games projects that he's worked on where it's ended up not being released. He's had some atrocious life.
He's like cursed or something. But yeah, so someone asked him like, "What's going on with Silent Hills? Are you still working with Kojima on Silent Hills?" And he said, "No, Silent Hills isn't going on anymore, and that breaks my greasy heart." And then Norman Reedus, the main character of Silent Hills, commented saying, "I'm disappointed that I won't be able to. I'm disappointed that Silent Hills is cancelled." And then he tweeted like a pizza emoji for some reason. And then Konami basically came out and said, yes, Silent Hills is cancelled. Although at first they tried to spin it as, oh no, Guillermo del Toro just isn't working with Konami. It's still being happened. Norman Reedus just isn't working. Oh, no, it's cancelled. It's cancelled. Then they finally admitted that it's cancelled.
It seems so. Is that actually how the news came about? That somebody asked Guillermo del Toro if it was still going ahead. So like the project was just cancelled and nobody mentioned it, and that's how it happened to be heard, or what?
Yep.
So oh wow, God, that's such a shambles.
I'll try to find where he asked. I'll try to find where someone asked him, or like the specific place. Oh, it was at the San Francisco International Film Festival. Someone asked him what was going to happen with Silent Hills, and he said, "It's not going to happen, and that breaks my greasy heart." And that's it. And then Norman Reedus was like, pizza emoji. So, I don't get Konami.
Maybe it's all part of the Silent Hills mystery, Raven.
Yeah, that would be cool. Because have you heard of that Metal Gear Solid 5 head transplant thing?
No.
Oh, fuck. Why isn't Baddragon here?
Vertigo plays Metal Gear, right?
Well, basically, there's this Russian surgeon who's going to be performing the world's first ever head transplant, and people are thinking that it's actually just a marketing thing by Kojima, and that it's actually all about the Phantom Pain, because, you know, swapping heads, and that's going to maybe be a plot point in Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's weird, but it's interesting. So who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe Kojima's just going fucking all out on his bullshit insaneness.
Yeah, they'll say, "Oh, the studio was haunted. It was too spooky for us. We couldn't carry on."
Yeah. All right. Are you ready to move on, or
Konami? I don't know if they're like being vindictive or they're just incredibly stupid.
Maybe both.
Well, the is it? It's not Occam's razor, is it? I don't know. The idea is that you generally try not to attribute to malice what can be explained by stupidity. So we default to the latter, I guess.
Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
Oh, I wasn't far off.
Yeah, you got the razor part.
Just
right?
the name of it that I got wrong. Paid mods on the Steam Workshop have been removed.
I can understand why they'd remove it, but I'm still mostly for mods. Although, looking back on my opinions, yeah, it's not gone from good. They made it, the way that they phrased it when they were taking it off is that we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Maybe we'll try again at a later date when we do understand what the fuck's going on.
They seem to have taken, well, they mentioned taking in a lot of feedback from the customers, so who knows?
Yeah. I think what they should do is not give themselves a cut, because, you know, they have no problem, you know, providing the service for mods for free without a cut right now. So why is it suddenly when there's money involved they suddenly want a cut, when, you know, TF2 hats could make them survive for the rest of eternity? So I think they should just let the modders get what would be their cut. I think that might be a better way of doing it.
What was Valve's proposed percentage the first time they were introduced?
25% for just the modders, and then Bethesda would get like 25 or something like that. And then Valve would also get another... No, Bethesda would get 50%, Valve would get 20%. 25%.
25, I was going to say, where's the other 5? So yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh wait, was it 50% from Bethesda, or
well,
did they want more? But it was like 75% of what was left after Valve took their cut.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. I swear it was over half.
Yeah, well, it was just...
I might be wrong though.
The modders weren't getting enough.
Check our previous podcast, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, was that ever confirmed, those percentages, or was that just...
The percentages for what the modders were to receive was confirmed.
That was confirmed, but like...
Yeah, but not the... But the Bethesda-Valve split was, I think, speculation.
Oh, okay. Well, there's me talking out my ass again. Alright, well, let's ignore that for now, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know when we'll expect to see them back on the workshop, but I'm sure they're not going to have, been working on that for however long, only to withdraw it a few days later and never go back to it. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see it again, and hopefully they'll have what basically absolutely everyone was clamoring for, which is an ability for a workshop mod creators to just have a donation thing. Pay nothing, or they can just give like an optional amount of money, however much they want, rather than a minimum spend, pay what you want feature, which is different to what people were saying they wanted.
Yeah, I imagine if they add that, I think modders would get more money, because people will just have like 19 or 18 cents in their Steam wallet from selling Steam trading cards. Just give that to the modder if they're downloading something that they like, and yeah.
Right, yeah, digital spare change, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, because, I mean, I don't know where I'd stand on the whole paid, unpaid mods thing either, of course, but,
yeah, I think there are some mods which just aren't good enough to be paid, but I think that's something that the market would eventually sort out themselves. Like, as much as I'm sure a lot of people want high-resolution horse genitalia, I don't think most people are going to pay $100 for that, so that would just sort of, go down to the bottom of the list and wouldn't be a downloaded mod or be a popular mod.
I wonder how much downloads for that mod surged after the paid mods thing was removed.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's just like 100% discount at the horse genitalia store. People are going to see what the fuss is about.
I would have liked to have seen this sort of like continue on, just to see like what sort of things would become popular, because I imagine it would have been like the majority would be like pay $1 for having this high resolution anime girl in your Skyrim. Like I think that would have been like number one, but it would have been interesting to just view as like from a social analysis thing to see what people like who play Skyrim.
I would say probably nude mods or expansions would be.
It's all about the nude mods.
Yeah. Although
all my
actually, most likely it'll be Sky UI, because I think that's pretty much the most popular mod anyway, just because so many other mods depend on it.
Somebody needs to do a reverse nudity mod where it puts clothes on all the animals.
Fig leaves everywhere.
Like all the animals are wearing like shirts and pants and shoes.
You could go full censor version where there's just a black blocks in front of everything, and every time someone swears they like bleep it out. God, actually no, that would be difficult. Yeah,
I'd pay $1 for that.
Clothed animals.
Well, they already have the one for the mud crab to wear a top hat and a monocle.
Oh, that's cool.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I like to combine that one with the swearing mud crab mod. That's a good combination. Yeah, every time you hit him, he swears like brutally.
Nice.
Yeah, there's the mud crab like British one. Oh, you fucking wanker! Oh, get over here! Fucking knock your elf! You can't stuff like that. It's great.
No, he was very American.
Oh, well, there's another one where he's British. Or, chav, I think is the correct term.
No.
Mud chav.
Okay, whatever. So, I mean, Vertigo, what are your views on paid mods on the Steam Workshop being removed?
I think it's a shame they buckled so quick. My only major complaint was that the creators were getting shafted. 25% is asinine. There's absolutely no reason for them to get less than 50%. Like, absolutely no reason whatsoever. And I think even 50% is being overly generous, if you want to say that. But absolutely no less. 25% is just an insult, especially since most of these mods are going to be really cheap, like $1, $2, and $3. You're getting 25% of that, and even then, you still only get paid once your mod makes $100 for you. So, I mean, you'd have to sell how many mods would you have to sell at like $2 a piece to even get $100?
If you're getting 25% of that, that's 50 cents each time, so 200 sales to get $100.
Yeah. So, and I think it was $100. It might be a little bit more, but I think it was 100. But yeah, so that's still a pretty decent amount. Obviously mods like Sky UI are going to make money hand over. Well, I won't say hand over fist, but they'll make a decent amount of money because they should, because it's damn good mod. But yeah, I think it was silly they took it out so quick. And yes, like people were like, oh, see, there's the horse genitals mod for $100. I'm like, okay, yes.
Hey, I just said that.
Things like that. Right, and so
you always quote me when you do your mocking voice. Why do you do that? Do you hate me?
You think there might be a coincidence?
Do you hate me?
Maybe it's just coincidence that I mock what stupid people say, and stupid people say things that you tend to say. It's probably coincidence. It's probably a coincidence. But yeah, no. It's so
probably coincidence.
Obviously, shit like that's gonna happen. People are gonna put up mods that like, oh, enable God mode, $5, but it's not gonna last. Like you said, the market's gonna fix it. No, but you're like, go get the one or two people with more money than brains, or drunk people buying the $100 horse genital mod, and nobody's gonna be buying these $5 God mode mods because somebody else is gonna, oh well, I'll do the same mod for $4, and then the other guy's gonna go, oh well, I can do the same thing for $3. And then one person just puts it up for free because, whatever. So these like super easy to do, super easy to replicate mods are going to stay free anyway, or super cheap. The ones that actually matter, like Sky UI, the sound effects ones, like the nature sounds, things like that, they take a little bit more time and effort to put in. You'll see be at reasonable prices. And if they aren't at reasonable prices, then somebody else, like let's say, for example, let's say the person who did the nature sounds, one of my other favorite Skyrim mods, which adds a bunch of like background sounds to like cities and caves and stuff and gives it more, of a realistic. Let's say he started charging $30 for that mod, right? Something ridiculous. And somebody else said, whoa, I could do that and for cheaper as well. So they're going to go in, make the same thing and be like, hey, you can get my mod for $10. Either the guy who made the original mod is going to drop his price, or he's going to add value to his somehow by making his better, higher quality, more variation. He updates it more often, whatever. Or he's going to drop the price, or he's going to do some combination of those things. And again, I very much believe the market tends to sort itself out for the most part. And like I say, initially there's going to be some bumps, especially because there's no cost involved. Like I can throw a mod up for $100 or $5 or whatever. There's absolutely no risk for me other than a loss of a little bit of time. There's no money, anything like that. So yes,
well, Steam could like ban you from the community marketplace or whatever and prevent you from doing that. And you can't just create a new account and do it again, because Steam has this new rule where you have to have like a minimum of $5 spent to put something up on like the Steam Workshop. So it would just be one of the more money than brains people doing that, I guess.
Well, under what circumstances would Vertigo be banned for uploading?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like,
if it's something stupid or just someone else's, they could ban you.
If I try to put a nude mod up, then yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to get banned. But realistically, this isn't going to affect 99% of people who do this. Like, even the horse genitals person probably didn't get banned from Steam. I mean, worst case scenario, he probably gets his mod removed. Like, he's probably not going to get banned for Steam.
Not banned, but like banned from the workshop.
Service or something. What? I don't understand how it's an infringement or anything, and why it would merit any kind of ban if, as you say, the market would just filter it out anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm a big fan of the market, and like I say, this stuff, for the most part, working itself out. The stuff that's easy to do is going to be free anyway, because somebody's going to say, F it, I'm just going to throw this mod up for free just because, or to screw the man, or to help other people, because it's something I know how to do. The mods that are really complicated, like Sky UI, stuff like that takes a significant amount of time, there's not going to be a lot of competition for it unless he's charging some absurd price for it, like $30. Then you might see somebody go, I could probably do a similar mod. It'll take me some time, but I know I can put it up for $10 or $5 or whatever. And I think it might help. And I think it could help because it'll draw people into modding. Yes, again, you're going to get the stupid kids who are like, oh, I can make money with my mod, and do the whole stupid, like I say, the God mode's my example, because it's probably like 2 or 3 flags you have to flip somewhere in the mod to make yourself unkillable or nigh unkillable. And they'll think, well, I'm going to become rich.
It's kind of a trade-off between like a decline in quality and an increase in competition, isn't it?
Right, exactly. And how difficult it is, because the difficulty is going to drive away the stupid kids who come in and think they're going to just throw a mod out there. It's like, like the YouTube video thing, right? Like, people think, oh, I see PewDiePie and Markiplier making tons of money. I'll just record myself playing Minecraft, make a bunch of stupid jokes, throw it on YouTube, and like, I'll make $100 a month. This will be easy. And then they find out, oh, I'm getting 3 views a month. It's like, why isn't the money rolling in? And then most people will just give up. The people who thought it was just going to be like easy money. So, but I think it could draw people in who see that, oh, before I really couldn't justify spending the time for this, but I could maybe earn some beer money, or maybe every few months I've got making extra money to buy a new game. And it draws them in, and they're like, oh, this is actually really enjoyable. I want to do this more often. And they get into more heavy modding, more, their own game development, things like that. So I think too many people automatically associate negativity when money's involved. And I understand why people do that, because it absolutely can make things go all the way bad. But some positive things absolutely can pull, because like it or not, money is a great motivator. How many people do things they hate every day for money, or at the very least dislike for money? Because they have to.
Raven works the streets.
Yeah, well, he doesn't really hate that, so that's not a good example. but people doing jobs they hate or jobs they dislike, why do they do it? For money. So and I think, and especially if you could get money doing something like modding, something that you like or even love, then more people might be drawn to it. And like I said, that could only help the mod community in that sense. And yeah, I do agree it could go the other way. There could be, this totally terrible thing where like even the most basic mod is $5, and to really mod your game out the way you want, it would be like $200. But realistically, again, I don't see that happening.
It depends on the game as well. The more popular games, like the big games like Skyrim and GTA 5 and stuff like that, they're obviously going to have a lot more attention on them. And I think it's probably it might be that any kind of cheap cash grab kind of ideas are probably going to be more focused on the larger titles with the bigger audiences. And I should think that genuine enthusiasm in force with smaller titles, as it has been for, most of them for a while. Yeah. So I can kind of see your argument, because I'll admit that I wasn't like massively keen on the idea of paid mods, but because I don't know, I felt like it was always driven by enthusiasm before, and that was probably got better results in the end. But I can see where you're coming from with the idea that people who want to do it but can't find the time will be more encouraged to do it. And yeah, I guess it can't be too bad a thing, especially if people have the option to make them for free if they really don't mind not making anything off it anyway.
Right, and and I see the other thing too, because I talked to somebody who they basically they're disabled and they can't work, so they rely on like the welfare system and whatnot. So they were like, I listened to your video and I totally get your points, but for somebody like me who has, basically this isn't like, should I buy some Steam mods or go to the movies or go to a nice restaurant? It's buy a Steam mod or eat this month or keep the power on. So obviously the choice would be simple in that case. So for those type of people, it would suck. So I absolutely get that argument as well. For those without very much money, something that kind of was a relaxation for them is now kind of harmed because of that, because they've spent that money they allocated to buy the game, but now on top of that, to really enjoy it, they need to buy these certain mods too.
And that's the thing, is that as well. It was like some free longevity that was given to the games, and it helped set PC apart from other platforms.
Yeah.
Right. And I just, in general, I think the reaction, as is everything these days, was grossly overblown. People were like, oh, this is the end of Valve, and this is the end of PC gaming, and modding is ruined. It's like, oh, Jesus, drama queen.
I'm guessing that's why Valve retracted it, was just because, like, even though, they'll obviously bring it back after working on it, they figured it probably just wasn't worth the trouble at the time to try and patch it while it was out there. So
yeah, I think Gabe Newell said in his Reddit AMA that it cost him like $10 million just trying to damage control the situation. And then I think 4chan apparently sent non-stop fax to Valve's offices and Bethesda's offices as well. So just like constant faxes going off. So
black faxes as well, aren't they? Because they do a whole black piece of paper just to use the most ink.
Yeah.
Well, first off, it wasn't 10 million; it was like 10,000.
Was it? No. It was 10,000 that they got from profits, but it cost 10 million.
Right.
I'll get the fucking AMA.
Well, I'm pretty sure all he said was it cost him more. I don't think he said it cost him 10 million. That would be insane amount of money.
I'm going to check.
I'm pretty sure it didn't cost them 10 million.
I'm going to check.
Grossly over exaggerating. But yeah, I really wish they would have stuck to their guns at least a little bit longer, because the problem is with the internet, they get outraged and they get their pitchforks out and they get their stupid hashtag campaigns going. But after like a week, people have completely forgotten and they're angry about whatever the new thing is to be angry about. So if they would have just let it go
Silent Hills, for example. Although to be fair, there's kind of a genuine reason behind that one.
Well, yeah, I think that one is pretty justified for a few reasons, but At least give it, like I say, let it ride for a little while, see how it goes. Let the initial, like, people pulling their hair out, going insane, kind of pass by, and see how it really works out before you go, we're just going to pull the plug. And like you say, this isn't going anywhere. This isn't Valve going, oh, well, we're giving up on paid mods. That's not happening. Like that's not happening. And I was actually 100% against the developers getting any money whatsoever.
I have the
initially. Quote. All right, go ahead.
Let's assume for a second that we are stupidly greedy, Newell said. So far, the paid mods have generated $10,000 in total. That's like 1% of the cost of the incremental email the program has generated for Valve employees. Yes, I mean pissing off the internet cost you $1 million in just a couple days. That's not stupidly greedy, that's stupidly stupid. That's what he said.
So 1 million, not 10 million. But
he says cost you $1 million. Well,
I still think that's a gross. I think he was being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Yes. When I use it in that phrase, I can't ever get the pronunciation right. But I'm pretty sure he was.
I always imagine it as like a more awesome version of the Super Bowl. The Hyper Bowl.
Was that this cost them significantly more than it has made them up to this point to deal with.
Yeah. And that's why they stopped
$1 million would be insane. Like that's a tons of people's salaries. Because even if you look, because the general rule I've always heard is take whatever you're making a year. So let's say you're making $30,000 a year, just for simplicity's sake. Double that to $60,000. That's roughly how much you cost the company with medical benefits and all this other stuff behind the scenes you don't ever see, like taxes, all that crap. Obviously not scientifically correct, but close enough.
But yeah, can't prove this.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think that it's going to be anywhere near $1 million. I won't say anywhere near, but it's not going to be that extreme. And like I said, again, it's just an initial hit.
It depends what you consider to be an additional cost incurred by that, I suppose. Because you could kind of move the goalposts and say, people have worked overtime as well, or
right.
And as Sharky has mentioned in, I think, a previous podcast, or maybe it was off air, but printer ink costs more than blood, and they did fax a lot of stuff. So
it's the single most expensive liquid.
Yes.
Well, obviously.
Wait, was it you that said that and not Sharky? I can't remember.
It is Sharky's fact.
Okay.
I may have said it, but I heard it from Sharky first, so you can attribute that to him.
And I shall.
To him, I mean to the people who actually researched that fact. But yeah,
the bigger question here is, why in the hell is Valve still using a fax? E-fax or get the hell out?
Well, I don't know.
Bethesda is using 3 of them. It's like, companies are weird. Just emails people.
Yeah. It is peculiar that people are like fax. I feel like fax became redundant so quickly that a lot of people didn't even have time to adopt it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I don't know. I'm waiting for old father time to chip in on this, but
Vertigo, that's you.
Wow. Yeah, I know. What? Just the other day I realized, totally related to this, looking in the mirror, and I realized, I've had white hairs on my goatee for a while, which is disappointing enough. But I was looking at the sides of my head,
like Hulk Hogan.
I saw white hairs, and I was like, "Oh, well, life is over."
Now you call it salt and pepper, and it's sexy again. That's how it works.
No, it's never sexy to have white hair unless it's dyed. And that's
what about Reed Richards? Natural. He has white hair.
Who?
Mr. Fantastic.
Oh.
He has white hair on the sides. I'll link you an image.
Yeah, and he's a stretchy scientist. He's not sexy at all.
What's not stretchy about white hair on a stretchy scientist?
His figure's all over the place. He really let himself go.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the paid mods, I think people just, as with everything else, grossly overreacted. I really would have liked to seen what was going to come of it. And like I said, we'll see it. It's going to come back at some point. But
well, as IceBear said last podcast, they basically it's weird because they basically have already done it with stuff like TF2 and the other workshop. It's interesting that this is what caused such an uproar, though.
Yeah. Which is what gives me confidence that they'll probably not take too long to figure it out. If I had to guess, then I'd say they probably want it back up in time for summer, because there tends to be a pretty big surge in usership around then. So.
Yeah. And they could do discounts for the mods. 75% off horse genitalia.
See, that's interesting. Mods on sale. Would you advertise it? I suppose you'd only advertise mods if somebody owned the game and you filter it in that way, maybe.
Yeah. It would be really annoying to have
questions, because obviously the dependency on people owning the game and things like that, and then the dependency on other mods, and then how much input how much they're just reusing the developers' resources, whether they're entitled to it. I can see why it's a more complex issue, but I also believe that Valve have enough experience to handle
Would they also advertise it like they do currently with DLC, where sometimes once you close a game, Steam will bring up a big message that says there's a new DLC that's been released for your game? Would they say there's a new mod that's been released for your game, it's getting some pretty good reviews, maybe you should buy it?
And would the developers like that? I suppose they might if they were getting a cut, but I suppose other developers might take exception to mods taking up space on the store page when there's actual games being released. But
yeah, exactly.
Oh, who knows?
These are problems for Valve to solve.
Like, those issues are pretty minor as well. I say that nobody's gonna
Well, screen real estate being taken up by mods.
Those kind of things
would be interesting, because that's like an indie game that's not being shown just so Skyrim can get a bigger cut of like the Steam user base.
Right. That's what I'm thinking about with that. But yeah,
it's an interesting thing to ponder.
Time on this, on this subject though, because we did get a lot of time to it next week. So let's have a little quick news story. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 has been announced.
All right.
Yeah, can't wait for that to come out and the movie.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, the George R. R. Martin of the video game world finally releases part 4. I love you, George. Don't change.
Yeah, well,
does anybody care at all?
I played Five Nights at Freddy's 1 with my little sister, and I thought it was pretty fun. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was a lot worse. I've only watched a review of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and it looks meh. So I'm not expecting much.
Franchise, then.
Yeah.
Except the first one was good. So
I'm surprised they didn't spell Five Nights at Freddy's with like a 4, with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah,
like really... that. Yeah, I put it in the Google Doc. 5.
You're using a 4 to spell the word 5?
Yep.
They should replace the E with a 3 in the previous iteration.
Wow.
41B3 Nights at Freddy's.
Wow.
I'm laughing at my own joke. This is horrible.
It's okay. We all got caught in that moment. Especially Vertigo, jeez.
Oh yeah, Vertigo, calm down.
But yeah, they've been pretty prolific with those, and the tail off in quality isn't surprising if it is pretty objective.
It's not. It's not like they've decreased in quality. It's just like they've gone in a different route. So it's not. It's not bad. It's just different while also being very similar. It's
almost episodic.
Not samey.
Really, this game. It's because of how close the releases are. Obviously, they're standalone, so it doesn't quite work that way. But...
That's true. Yeah. This suddenly becomes a lot more okay if you think of it as like a season. With the finale being the movie of Five Nights at Freddy's, developed by Warner Brothers, or produced rather.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're pretty cheap games, right? They're only like I don't know, like £5 or something here. I can't really remember. They're less than £10. Pretty sure.
I can check. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is $8. That's US.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, the original is £4, then 2 and 3 are £5.59.
Yeah, and they also seem to be super popular, so I'm not surprised he keeps making a ton of them.
Really? This is the first time I've heard of them.
Yeah, well,
who?
they're pretty underground, but I mean, like, apparently it's got a pretty interesting story, like Bloodborne.
It's one of those games that kind of feeds this feedback loop, right? Where the YouTubers make that game famous, because otherwise nobody would probably have ever heard of it. But then people use that game and buy it and play it to try to get famous because all the big YouTubers are playing it. So they're going to play it. So they go and buy it and play it. And more people have heard of it because they see Joe Bob YouTuber play it. So they, then, customers go buy it. And, but yeah, it's interesting kind of a feedback loop that happens. And if people are like, I'm complaining about them making so many games so quick. I don't know. I say like kudos to them because they are striking while the iron is hot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's because it's a fad that's gonna die out. Like, not many people play Happy Wheels now.
But I would have been
Happy Wheels 2 came out. I don't know.
I would have been more upset with them like releasing so many games so quickly if they were significantly worse in quality because they were just being rushed out. But there really isn't that specific dip in quality, so. Yeah, I'm not really against it.
Yeah, well, more power to them then, I guess. I mean, if they can succeed doing that, then I don't see why they shouldn't.
If what they're releasing is making people happy and they're releasing them consistently and quickly and
it's between consenting adults,
super profitable. Yeah, benefits between consenting adults.
None of our business.
Yeah.
When the curtains close. Okay.
When the curtains are closed, Freddy comes out to play.
Right. That's like a.
Thanks.
I wonder if they've actually done a trailer like that with like haunting rewording of the Teddy Bear Picnic song. Anyway, the Ouya company is for sale. Who wants a piece of
buy them? Yeah. Wants a piece of the Ouya action. Ouya! I'd like to buy the Ouya, please.
The Ouya makes me smile because it reminds me of the unboxing, the Sincere Regret edition unboxing of the Ouya. I can't remember. Was it Piggy or was it someone else that did that?
I remember that. Yeah.
The packaging and they were like, I guess that's where all the extra Kickstarter money went. The controller was so awful.
Yeah, the controller in particular was not well done.
Yeah, I remember that. It's like he brings out the controller, feels it, and it's like, yep, that's terrible.
Yes, that's right. Oh god, it wasn't a terrible concept, but it was really poorly executed.
Yeah, it's like Ashen said it in his unboxing. It's like. When people saw the Kickstarter, they were like, oh my god, an Android TV thing that I can play Android games on my telly with a controller. Oh, money, money, money. And then when they finally got it, it's like, oh, it's a Android console where you can play your Android games on the TV with a controller. I don't really want that. It's a bit bizarre.
Yeah, like, I mean, as far as Android games go, my phone actually has me covered now, so...
As far as Android games go, my PC has me covered.
Sold on the face of retro gaming, though.
It was sort of like shadily, because
as in like, we won't ask.
Yeah, it's like they said you can like sideload certain programs, but they couldn't outright say yes, you can use this for emulation purposes because that shit's just asking to be sued.
Yeah. And they basically can't make any money from that either, right?
Yeah. Have you seen the $60 for a game ad from Ouya?
From Ouya?
Yeah, their ad.
Presumably saying that games cost $60 everywhere else, so you shouldn't pay that much, and you should get an Ouya instead.
Yep.
Which admittedly is more expensive at first.
Yeah, but then he ends up vomiting, and then he's up to like his knees in vomit, and then he pulls out his spine and whacks himself in the head with it.
Yeah, and he's looking at this now, and I'm not sure they gave much thought to their market.
Like, this is who they want to buy their Ouya? People who have smashed their heads in?
Money was spent on this advert. Oh god, that's awful. And I'm seeing pictures of the controller again, and I forgot how they just made like a really shit version of the PlayStation controller with it. Oh wow, yeah, no, that was awful. So, I mean, I'm amazed that it's still solvent.
Yeah, I'm surprised they managed to continue existing. And also, they have like this thing where you can pay like $60 and try out like every game on the Ouya or something like that. And they didn't ask developers for their permission to do that or anything. I think Tim Schafer was upset about that. Vertigo, you probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, Tim Schafer's hard pressed for cash at the moment as well, so, you know, yeah.
He could have probably saved money by not porting it to the fucking Ouya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was another $1 million right there. Sorry, there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
That's what I'm not quite. So why were they upset about what?
Something like $60.
Was it to try all of them or to buy all of them? I'm guessing to try all of them. You wouldn't
buy
every game for $60, whatever. But if he didn't consult the developers, then I don't know. It's like paid demos, but I don't know if he would have given them much of a cut. If
a $60 all-access pass to all their games.
Oh wow! For how long?
12-month subscription service. It says.
Jeez.
It includes unlimited access to the Ouya online store's paid games, allowing customers to browse the store and add games to the library without further cost.
But if you're if they have like, I mean, I'm being generous, but assume they have 60 games for the Ouya, and the the makers want to make a profit, so it's less than $1 goes to each developer that has a game that's involved in there. Assuming that there's 60 games on there. So I can see why they'd be annoyed if they brought about that, because they are making virtually no return.
But wait a minute. So the $60 lets them just play all games in the library forever? Or
for a year?
I feel like you, of all people, should know this. You have the Ouya.
Yeah, I had that thing plugged up in like years.
Oh. Wait, how long has it been out? I
don't pay too much attention to what it's doing.
Well, yeah. You can call yourself a collector now, at least.
Yeah.
It's like the N-Gage of its generation, isn't it? Wow.
Oh my god, it's the N-Gage, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, can you clarify it for Vertigo, please?
Well, I sent him the link, but I don't know how to further explain it.
Yes, yeah, so it's $60. Is that right, then? $60, access all the games for a year.
Yep.
That's how it works. How many games did the Ouya have?
A couple, I imagine.
I say did. I'm assuming it's still technically for sale.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I assume it's still for sale. Oh, right. That's on the controller cell out here. So...
Which is better than what they had initially, which was just O.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was originally just O. Not the letters.
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, if you looked really close on the buttons, it actually had in small print, "Fuck you, colorblind people."
That's true. Yeah, because the only way to differentiate was different colored O's. Press the green O, press the yellow O.
God, could you imagine tutorials? That would be the most galling thing.
Oh, goodness.
Mm.
Oh, and for people who would like, because it's like the open console, I imagine some people would, if it had been a success, people would have modded the O's, modded the controls so the O's would be different colors, and it's like, oh shit, I can't play any games now. I don't know what O they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, just from reading it, that surely they would have to pay the developer something.
Right, and that something would be so minuscule. I don't know how they would even do it. Would it just be an even split, or would it be based on downloads?
I swear I read on Twitter that they didn't ask him about it, but I can't find him quoting on that. So
it doesn't look like something the developers would agree to, because they are making peanuts from that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I guess the idea is that you get money from all the users, even the ones who wouldn't have bought your game in the first place, unless it's driven by downloads.
Maybe I suppose since
you're basically just selling your game for pennies.
Well, on the Ouya, it's like it's not like anyone's gonna buy your game anyway. So maybe like Peanuts is like that's a big break on the Ouya store.
Yeah,
fucking
how much
Peanuts.
Does it cost to port to the Ouya?
Yeah. It's weird.
20 more years of this, and I'll have made it all back. I also quite like that halfway through the article it says Ouya changed its policy to allow some bigger games to come to the platform, and then list 3 games that I have never heard of.
Hold on a second.
That Dragon. Oh, That Dragon. That's not 3 games. That's 2 games. It's That Dragon Cancer. It's a super depressing game about how this person's child was dealing with cancer, and the way that they explained it was that he's fighting a dragon, and that dragon is called Cancer. So it's that dragon named Cancer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was a depressing thing. Let's talk about something more funny, like Tony
Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Whoa. Developed by Robomodo. Well, oh no, wait, let me read the full headline. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 officially. Developed by Robomodo. Okay.
Shut up, I didn't notice that.
Tony Hawk Shred and Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD. So, there's a new Tony Hawk game, every guy.
And it's gonna be shit because Robomodo are shit.
I see. Are those bad Tony Hawk games?
Yeah, they are the worst listing? Tony Hawk games ever. It's ridiculous.
Okay, no.
You seem angry.
Actually, it's just difficult to take the statement seriously, but like I'm sure you're right.
No, but like Tony Hawk games used to be good, but then
like they're pretty. It's kind of weird to. Like, it's about time, because I don't think they've made any Tony Hawk games for this platform, if I skimmed the article correctly. But it feels kind of weird to have, like, a generation of gaming platforms that don't have, like, a Tony Hawk game on it, or at least, like, a recognized equivalent.
Yeah, because there's no Skate or Tony Hawk here.
I have to say, looking at the... I mean, the graphics look slightly better, but, I mean, it's probably going to be the same as every Tony Hawk game ever, but... Except with a big focus on online play, and they're going to focus more on the combat in this one as well, actually.
No, it's going to be shit, because the HD versions of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater that Robomodo developed controlled absolutely terribly, and the physics were just completely off.
Controls aren't that important to a skateboarding game.
Well, controls aren't that important to games in general. I mean... Whoever likes to feel in control of a character that they're supposed to be playing? But
me.
Yeah, not me either. It's ridiculous, and I just hope the soundtrack's good, because that's all I can really hope for at this point. Because Tony Hawk games always had really good soundtracks. Why couldn't Infinity Ward develop this instead?
You make it sound like you're being forced to buy it, and like, well, there's like
it's
Australian dollars.
This
is
Tony Hawk. It's just that
$400 Australian dollars.
It's just that Tony Hawk games were a big part of my youth, so this is super nostalgic for me. The Tony Hawk games are super nostalgic for me, so to see them saying stuff like, we're going to go back to the roots and make a new Pro Skater, and then this comes out, it's like, I would have preferred a fucking mobile-only free-to-play game, because at least that way, my hopes wouldn't have gotten up. This way, they've raised my hopes up only to crash them into the ground.
Right. I mean, Tony Hawk games for me were always the ones that were just like, obviously, once you get a couple of generations old, they're just like a couple of quid in a bargain bucket when you can't afford like a proper game. Well, I say a proper game, like a new release or a bigger title.
Yeah.
So you just get the old Tony Hawk game and play around on it for a few hours and it's good for a while. But...
Yeah, I don't know how. Why the fuck couldn't they have given it to Infinity Ward? Because Infinity Ward should have developed the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, because for those not in the know, Neversoft, the former developers of the Tony Hawk's games, the good ones, they have now been merged into Infinity Ward. So even though they may not make the best Call of Duties, they certainly have a much better shot of making a great Tony Hawk game than fucking Robomodo. Fuck these twats.
Twats.
I I actually hated both of the ways you said it, which is impressive. So let's condemn that game before it's been released and move on.
All right.
So, Rockstar will not ban players using mods in GTA 5 single player, and recent update. Oh God, fractured grammar in my headlines. Who wrote this order? The recent updates which broke mods. Well, you see now that you've pluralized it, was unintentional. Doesn't make. Oh my God. A recent update which broke mods was unintentional. The mods were never supposed to be broken, but like, how did that take people by surprise that the game updated and mods didn't work? Because that
apparently
is literally how updates to games work.
Yeah, I always thought it was a bit weird that people quickly jumped to the gun to think Rockstar was deliberately trying to break mods, because mods just break all the fucking time.
Don't play PC games very often, and maybe that's it. But like, mods basically have that challenge if they're like pretty persistent mods of having to update for the latest version or to match certain expansions or whatever if they're using certain assets. That is just part and parcel of modding PC games, is that when there's an update, the mods break.
Yeah. Maybe it's just that they were used to like Grand Theft Auto 4, and where Rockstar hasn't touched that in fucking forever. So they're like, no, every time a new mod comes out, it's fine, it's compatible, no problems. But then there's this new game comes out, and they're like, what the heck? Update's breaking. Rockstar, why do you hate us so much?
So was there like genuine outcry over this, that people thought that they were banning them from using mods for no reason in single player?
There seemed to be a bit of it, like on like Reddit and stuff like that. People were upset, but I mean that's just Reddit, so
yeah, that is just Reddit.
Yeah.
Thanks for finishing that sentence before. Yeah. So that we didn't have to. Yeah, that's
yeah. So that's more little non-piece of news.
Well, for anyone who wasn't in the know, yeah, that clarifies that issue. But that is quite surprising that people would like immediately assume that they've updated the game just to break the mods. Because I'm pretty sure you would just. I mean, is GTA 5? It's available on Steam, right? Is it Workshop compatible?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. So it's got like its own. Is it like ModDB or something like that they get them from? I suppose it'd be all over the shop, really.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just from everywhere. I think it's FilePlanet or FileShare, whatever the old websites are.
My little brother got GTA 5 on PC the other weekend, actually, and he was.
I didn't know you had a brother.
I have two, and I'm pretty sure I explained this.
Oh my God! Did you know Vertigo is a lonely child? He has no brothers or sisters.
Okay. Well, that's. I mean, it has its advantages, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty
for
awesome.
example, when they when like you don't have to put up with them downloading GTA 5, which is a 60 gigabyte file. That was like a whole Saturday.
7 fucking DVDs, which is insane.
Yeah, like, and it like the downloader. It's like a dedicated downloader installer as well. Like, just completely hogs the bandwidth. It's insane.
Yeah.
How difficult it was just to load up like Twitter or something while that was going on. But yeah, no, massive download file. But that's just an aside, really. So how has it been, the port to PC? Has it been relatively smooth? I mean, the delay was big enough for me to expect it to be a
from what I've heard,
unbuggy release.
But... from what I've heard, yeah, it's actually been a really good port. Like, it's pretty much as close to Max Payne 3 port quality as you can get with a game like Grand Theft Auto 5. And for those not in the know, Max Payne 3 is basically the best fucking PC port ever. It performs amazingly on even toasters. You get like 100, 200 FPS on like ultra settings, and at 4K resolution, it's fucking crazy magic.
Get it on the Ouya if you like a challenge.
Ouya.
So there we go. That's clarified that for anyone who wasn't aware. Turns out updates to PC games can sometimes break mods. D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, is coming out on PC June the 5th for $14.99 in some unknown dollar denomination. Season 2 is confirmed to be in development as well. So presumably this is Season 1 of D4.
Can't wait for this. D4 is such a good game. And also, Sweary, the developer, or Sweary, said to thank Obama for this. He had a little tweet that he said, like, it's D4 is coming to PC, thank Obama, or something like that. He's so fucking Japanese.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that authentic Japanese meme.
Classic Obama and his thanking.
That just reminded me of the Thanks Obama mod for Dark Souls. I wonder if people would charge for that, and whether or not that would be the sort of mod to make any money.
Well, Vertigo,
Probably
you had that
not.
downloaded on your Dark Souls. Would you have paid money for that?
Would you pay for it, Vertigo?
How much? $100? $200? $500? Couple million?
At least 500.
Yeah. Let's be real, at least 500. Wait, isn't there a maximum price that you can set it at for a mod? Or is there not?
I'm not sure.
Can you actually charge whatever the hell? Okay, yeah, I just made that up. That's why I assumed that there was a 99 horse genitalia mod, was at like $100 or something was the max, but I mean, realistically, nothing should be charging over that, but or even close. But anyway,
Right, yeah.
So Dark Dreams Don't Die. Raven, what can you tell us about it, and why should we be excited for this PC release? Or not, because sometimes you put games on here just to tell us they're going to be shit.
Well, Dark Dreams Don't Die is basically a suspense detective thing where the main guy is on a quest to find out who killed his wife, and the only clue he has to go on is the letter D. So he's investigating every single case that may involve the killer being named D. So he's always honest. So because it's Japanese, I don't know if they realized it, but he basically always says, I've got to find D. I need to find this D. Is this the D I'm looking for?
Well, this is worth it just on its own.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing on that. And then you've got like this weird way of navigating. It's like a point and click adventure game, except as you interact with the environment, you have a stamina bar that goes down, so you've got to constantly be eating. And what's weird is that the characters in the cutscenes also seem to have like the same metabolism as they do in gameplay, so they'll have like 4 slices of pizza all on top of each other and then just down it in 1 second. And the guy's from Brooklyn, so he speaks with this super thick Brooklyn accent, and he talks about clam chowder. Like from the episode of The Simpsons, he's like, clam chowder, I don't want this clam chowder, something like that. It's fucking weird, I love it. You gotta play it.
It's a good job you said Brooklyn so that we didn't have to call you out for being racist against Asian people.
Yeah,
God.
barely.
Yeah, but so he goes back in time, and then he messes with time, and then it's like, he ends up...
Okay.
And then
it's quite a Japanese title, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that in I think the first episode or the prologue, I forget, he meets people who already know him, and then in like the second or third episode, he goes to meet them for the first time, and he knows who they are, but he doesn't know. So it's interesting to see how they react to knowing him and his actions that he did, but he hasn't yet done them because he hasn't gone back in time to do them for the first time, which is later.
I think that was a Doctor Who plotline as well.
Yeah. It's a cool game. You should definitely check it out and buy it.
Oh, it's tempting. Yeah. Do you love
it's probably the best game ever designed for the Kinect because they allow you to not use the Kinect at all.
The impressiveness of that statement just dropped off a cliff.
But yeah, I'm so glad this isn't
game ever designed for the Kinect.
But this used to be an Xbox One exclusive, and I'm so glad it's coming to PC because
did it? What a massive surprise that it's coming to PC.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to buy an Xbox One, but I
recover from the shock.
I would have. Like, D4 would have been one of the games I would buy an Xbox One for. D4, Sunset Overdrive, and the new Hideki Kamiya game. Oh, fuck. Vertigo, what's it called? The new one?
Kamiya? I have no idea.
Hideki Kamiya, the guy who made Scalebound. There it is. There it is. Scalebound, the new one. So
Oh,
Scalebound,
yeah.
Sunset Overdrive, and D4. Those are the only Xbox One games I care about.
Has
glad.
Sunset Overdrive not been announced for PC yet?
It hasn't yet, which is weird. I totally thought it was gonna be. I guess it was actually successful on the Xbox One.
Really.
But I really hope the other two come along to PC, because that way I won't have to buy a stupid Xbox One.
I'm sure Sunset Overdrive will eventually.
Fingers crossed.
And I'm sure that they'll release later seasons of Dark Dreams Don't Die on PC if they're going to do the first. It doesn't make sense not to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that seems like something to look forward to then. Mirror's Edge, not to be confused with Mirror's Edge, is to release in early 2016.
Not to be confused with the release of Mirror's Edge, which released in late 2008.
Yeah. So yeah, this is essentially Mirror's Edge 2, which it even says in the article, but it is
it's
still
a prequel.
The article.
No, actually, it's a fucking reboot.
Oh yeah, that's which obviously the plot got too convoluted in the first one, and they had to like dial it back because there was no way that they could write a second story, having tied all of those threads so neatly together and you know answered all the questions and really told us how that okay, the story was bad, you get it. But yeah, like I don't know if there's that much to say about it. It's kind of like it was last year, where all these announcements were made, and like eventually pretty much all of them ended up coming out in 2015 or being moved to 2015. I mean, have they actually stated a different release time, or is this the first time that they?
This is the first time that they've given a release window, so it's just the first quarter of 2016. Before the announcement was when it's done.
3. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand why they would wait until they had more information and had gone further to do an estimation on when they might be able to release it. But I mean, I was thinking that there would be like a trailer or some kind of material to watch, but then I remember that it's still just the E3 trailer, which is basically this. It's the protagonist from the last one just running around and getting a tattoo on her eye.
Yeah. Which is weird. Because it's reboot and that confused me so much when I first watched it. I was like, "Oh my god, it's sequel!" It's like, wait, why is she getting? Oh, what? Huh? That totally contradicts the prequel comic.
It's pretty damning to reboot a series after one release.
Yeah.
Like it's irrevocably. Needs to be wiped clean, and you need to start again after you've released the first part.
It's not really a reboot so much as a mulligan.
Yeah. Well, let's try again. Everyone just pretend like the first game didn't exist. Oh, man.
Right. So, I mean, we mentioned this on the previous podcast as well, I think, and I mean, the consensus was that it's similar, although there was some slightly concerning mention that they'd be focusing more on the combat.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not that means that there will be more emphasis on it in the game, or whether they'll just make it less shit when it's necessary. Hopefully the latter, but probably the former. So yeah, you'll have to wait until early 2016, or at least towards the end of this year to get any more solid info on it. But it's not being
E3's just around the corner.
Something. Oh god. Aren't they rebooting that as E now?
Wait, are you serious? I can't tell.
No, I'm not serious.
Okay, thank God. It'll be the edgy reboot of E3 where they just have the 3 replace the E, so it's 3-3.
Yeah. Or just they have the E and then there's a lightning strike in the background and it flips over. Maybe some blood trickles down from beneath the E.
You got the Resident Evil guy doing the announcement. E3.
I have to step away for a little bit. I'll be back probably 10 minutes. You guys keep talking about stuff.
All right.
Okay.
So you're gonna be missing the best part. Dead Island 2 delayed until 2016.
Gasp! Gasp! Gasp!
I had no idea that this was even supposed to release in 2015. I wasn't aware it could be delayed.
Yeah. The release dates is just when they're announced more than a year ahead of time, they're just spurious, aren't they? It's E3. E3 is basically what because they tend to stick like a coming quarter, such and such, and then the year. So they just sort of like take a stab in the dark, and it quite often turns out to be wrong, especially with the larger IPs. Although to be fair, Dead Island is kind of somewhere in the middle, I think.
Dead Island has so many fucking games. I don't understand the appeal of it. How is such a shit game so successful? And how can they have so many games and be only up to the second one?
Yeah, I didn't realize they have that many games. So is Riptide a standalone, or?
Riptide is an expansion that was sold at full price. In Australia, anyway. I think in America it was like $25 cheaper.
Aren't Deep Silver games quite expensive where you are?
The games in general are.
Well, yeah. For some reason I thought there was something about Deep Silver, but maybe I was wrong.
What? There's gonna be a fucking Dead Island film?
Really?
Yeah, I'm checking the wiki page. This is so stupid.
Oh, I'm not sure how I feel about multiple games branching out into film. Although, isn't Ratchet & Clank doing that?
Yeah.
That'd be alright.
Ratchet & Clank, Sly Cooper, I can see them being alright.
Yeah, definitely. Especially Ratchet & Clank.
Yeah.
Also Ratchet & Clank.
Ratchet & Clank. Ratchet & Skank, more like. Haha.
No, you didn't.
I did. I went there.
I don't have anything. So, I mean, the thing about Dead Island 2 that really sets it up to be a massive disappointment is the...
it's not set on an
fact
island?
That the trailer was so extraordinary. It's not set on an island.
It's not. It's set in California.
Oh, so a peninsula. Dead Peninsula. You know what that works.
I like that. You should work on the marketing team at Deep Silver.
There could be so many spin-offs as well. Dead Archipelago, Dead Subcontinent.
They could do like Dead Estate, but then you're getting kind of close to Resident Evil territory.
Maybe you could have like a political zombie game and like have Dead Constituency or something.
You gotta... God save the Queen! But God can't save the Queen because she's an undead zombie! Yeah.
Classic England. So, like, I feel as though we're filling in this topic just so that we don't finish the podcast before Vertigo gets back.
So we can talk about Bloodborne.
Yep, our next item on the news, Bloodborne.
I don't understand why Bloodborne feels the need to give me a 99 item limit restriction. It's like we're on the PlayStation 4. Can't you up that by just a little bit? Why can't it be like 999?
Yeah, at that point, because obviously they're not really pushing for realism if it's 99 items. So
yeah, no. See, it's your storage chest that you can only hold up to like 99 in. On your person, you can only so blood vials are the main thing that I'm worried about or talking about.
Estus flasks.
Yeah, so you can hold 20 of them, or with certain rings equipped, you can hold up to like 24 or whatever. But in your storage chest, you can only have 99 held in your storage. Why?
Oh, so like a stack of 99 objects.
Yeah, but so after a while, if you pick up any more of the vials, you can't do anything with them. So you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll go sell some vials so I can pick some more up or something like that. But then you'll go to fight a boss and you'll just go through all 99 of those vials incredibly quickly. Because, 100 vials, that's like 5 shots. I use a lot of vials. Okay.
Vials are weak source then. So that's interesting that they would bother inflating them, from the Estus flask.
I guess it's because they
just had fewer, but they healed more.
I guess they want to make sure that you don't just constantly use them. It's an interesting design decision because you want to make sure that people respect them and don't overuse them, but at the same time you get them so fucking often, so it's weird that...
Seems like they've done exactly the opposite to ensure that, if that's the case, because it sounds like they don't heal that much, and you need to drink more of them, and also they give you a crap load, so they kind of seems like they've done everything they can to make sure that you are constantly using them.
Yeah. Well, one thing I found that helps was there's this covenant you can join. It gives you a rune where the blood vials restore way more of your health. So it's essentially like 2 for 1. So that helps a lot. Also, another problem I have with Bloodborne is the rune system. So you know how rings work in Bloodborne, right?
No, but carry on.
All right, I'll explain how rings work.
Do you just assign? Is it just a socket and you stick a rune in it?
Yeah. So in Dark Souls, you have the ring. You'd take a ring off, and then you'd put another ring on, and then it would change like certain stats or whatever. And you could do that whenever you wanted. But in Bloodborne, in order to change the runes, you have to go back to the Hunter's Dream. So you can't do that in the middle of like a boss fight or during the middle of a dungeon. You have to go back to like a bonfire essentially, and then teleport to the Hunter's Dream, go to the desk to equip the rune, and then go back on your merry way. So
once you filled out the relevant forms at the desk.
Yeah, exactly. So it's weird that they decided to do that. It's like, you had the system perfect in Dark Souls. Why'd you go back? It seems like it's just... it seems like they wanted an area where you would rest and relax in the Hunter's Dream, and then they kind of tried to think of ways to make it useful after that. So, like, the ring system is way better in Dark Souls, but they just intentionally make it worse so that you like the Hunter's Dream more.
Or maybe just for the sake of differentiating between the Dark Souls series, or maybe a combination of the two, I suppose.
I guess so, because there's another thing, like in Dark Souls 2, you could warp from bonfire to bonfire, and you can sort of do something similar like that in Bloodborne. But in Bloodborne, you've got to go to the Hunter's Dream, and then go to a tombstone, and then from that tombstone select which bonfire you want to go to. So they're just adding in another load screen to load in the Hunter's Dream for no real reason. There's no benefit there aside from the fact that they want you to go to the Hunter's Dream. It's like they should have thought of other ways to make the Hunter's Dream useful that could only happen without uselessly making it dumb. I don't know. It's a silly idea. But aside from that, it's a really great game. I mean, I platinumed it. 57 hours on it.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad you had fun with it.
Still waiting for Vertigo to come back.
Well, we've got a couple more stories, so let's...
Alright, so more reasons... Okay, so have you been cursed in Dark Souls?
Cursing?
Yeah. So the basilisks in Dark Souls can put this smog out, and when you die from that...
Oh yeah, I was cursed in Dark Souls 1, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I remember it being extremely annoying, but I can't remember why.
Yeah, so it halves your health.
Halfway around the world, that's right, yeah.
It halves your health. And that's really annoying. In Bloodborne, there's a challenge dungeon where your health is always halved. And that is just the most annoying thing. I find that to be such a lame way of trying to make the chalice dungeons more difficult. Because aside from the cursed chalice dungeon where your health is halved, I had no problems with the rest of the chalice dungeons. So
it's a really simple way to add difficulty into it.
Because you can't get hit. That's just it. You can't get hit because all of the bosses in the Cursed Chalice dungeon can one-shot you. It's ridiculous. So I'm not a fan of that at all. Because, I mean, like, at least in Dark Souls, you would lose half your health because you got cursed, and you could, it was sort of like a major punishment. And I hated it then, but at least, it only happened against one enemy in one area for a very short amount of time, and you could avoid it. Whereas in this, you have to be cursed and lose half your health in order to, prove that you're worthy. And in Demon Souls, whenever you died, you would have like half your health bar, and then you'd only get it back once you killed the boss. But in that game, you also had something called the Cling Ring, which would give you, which would take a ring.
Jeez.
What?
No, just carry on. I was the Cling Ring is an interesting name for an item.
Well, the Cling Ring is basically something that would give you 75% of your total health instead of just 50%, but it took up a ring slot, so it's just making like a bad situation less worse. So it was a pretty good, ring to have, and I would have been fine if there was like a rune equivalent of that in Bloodborne, where say like maybe if you joined a specific covenant, or if there was just a rune that was hard to get, you could have 75% of your health in cursed chalice dungeons. That would be cool. Or at the very least, just get fucking rid of them, because it's such a bullshit way of making it more difficult. And the worst part is like all of the bosses in the cursed chalice dungeon, where you have half your health, they're recycled bosses that you've already fought. Just now you have half your health, and they're more difficult, and they have more health.
Chalice dungeons seem a bit cheesy. So
the chalice dungeons are the worst part of Bloodborne by far. Yeah. They have terrible loot, and what loot there is in there, most of the time, it's just so you can get to a deeper chalice dungeon. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. And then sometimes you also have to end up grinding the chalice dungeons and going through them repeatedly so that you have enough materials to create a new chalice dungeon, so you can go deeper and get more materials to create the next chalice dungeon, just so you can fight the one boss at the very end and get one trophy and platinum it and be fucking done with the game forever.
Yeah, when you commit yourself to 100% of your game, it can be kind of a bit
those last few percent. It's like I couldn't let it beat me. I had come so close, man. I had come so close, and I did it. But yeah, there's a massive, massive quality difference between the chalice dungeons and the main game. If you ever end up playing Bloodborne, like, I don't know, 7 years from now when you get a PS4 because they're like super cheap or whatever, don't do the chalice dungeons. Just play the base game, and you'll thank yourself.
Yeah. Well, I will sure. I won't.
Yep.
Do the chalice and then Bloodborne. I can pretty much guarantee I won't.
Thank you.
Is Bloodborne's a PlayStation exclusive, right?
Yeah, PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Yeah, no, I can pretty much guarantee that I won't.
Miyazaki, oh, sorry, no, never mind.
I was going to move on to the actual news item afterwards.
Well, Vertigo's not back yet, though.
Oh, he is.
Oh, okay, thank God.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Whew.
We've been talking about Bloodborne for so long, and there's only so much I can say about how much the chalice dungeons suck.
Yeah.
They do suck. Well, to be fair, I've only played the first one.
And that's more than enough. That's more than enough for you to experience how much they suck. They don't get better. I might try one after I beat the game. Wait, let me answer me this without spoilers. Okay.
When you beat the game, is it like Dark Souls 2, where like you have to kind of choose to go to New Game Plus, or is it like Dark Souls 1, where you beat the game and it forces you into New Game Plus? It
forces you into New Game Plus, but the chalice dungeons don't scale with your difficulty. Well, with New Game Plus, rather.
Oh, so okay. Okay, all right. Then I might try it after I beat the game, but I'm definitely not in any hurry to try them.
Yeah.
No, I concluded that I would never do them. The chalice dungeons in Bloodborne, never. Also, don't own a PlayStation, so
that helps. You're really dedicated to not doing them. Wow.
Yeah. I was thinking I hadn't gotten much done today, but I mean, it's been a real boost from how much progress I've made in not doing the chalice dungeons in Bloodborne.
Very good.
So moving on to some actual news, rather than just filler content. Maddening, endless filler content. Dark Souls, Scholar of the First Sins. Oh, Dark Souls 2, I should say. Scholars of the First Sins mods may cause soft bans. Yeah, there's so many plural nouns in there that I thought it couldn't possibly be right, but it actually is. So yeah, this is the potential for soft bans to be incurred when using, in particular, what the article suggests is the DS2 Fix mod, which basically fixes bugs, especially with the DLC. And soft banning for the uninitiated is well, basically you can only play with other people who are soft banned. So really, it's kind of ideal for Dark Souls games because it means you don't have to deal with the shitty multiplayer aspect of the game. So, I mean, I imagine people are pretty jubilant about that.
Yeah.
Either of you two have any more knowledge on that?
No, this was just so we could have a Dark Souls topic in the podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember us having this discussion. That's why Bloodborne is just there on its own. Good job he had it as well. It was well timed.
So, does it tell people ahead of time though if they're gonna mod? Like, hey, you can mod, but if you do that, we're gonna soft ban you. And is there any way to be unsoft banned?
Well, it's From Software, and I feel like they've never communicated a thing in their entire existence, so I don't know. But it seems like even using DxTory may put users at risk of getting banned. That seems messed up.
It's quite surprising.
That seems pretty heavy-handed, but it's From, and they obviously have technical issues. They have problem with any kind of technical stuff, it seems like. So it would not be surprising.
Yeah.
Yes, that's...
expecting them to fix their own deficiencies is...
I hope they fix it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it stays unfixed.
On the plus side, they're really not losing out on much by being soft-banned in Dark Souls of all games. Except for having their friends help them defeat bosses. And I guess the injustice of it kind of is a little annoying as well.
Yeah, in Bloodborne, I always played offline, which you can do, which is amazing. I love that fact. You can just, on the main menu, click play offline. You're offline. You don't need to fucking play online. Thank God. Why was that so difficult to implement in your other games From Software? Instead of making it so that Games Windows Live would disconnect me and then boot me back to the fucking main menu every time I lost connection.
Well, it still does that in Bloodborne. Like, sometimes if you're looking for a game and you lose connection, it's just like, oh, you lost connection. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're kicking
you know
out
what's
the
weird
dashboard.
about that,
It's
though?
like,
If you don't click OK, it'll actually end up sending you to someone else's game, and then you can join, and then you can click OK, and you'll be fine. It's the most stupid thing. I don't understand how the fuck From Software does it.
Pretty impressive about how bad they can do stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Nintendo announces latest financial year results, returns to profitability entirely thanks to Baddragon and his purchase of all of the amiibos. Thanks, Baddragon. You saved Nintendo. Now, if only you could save the Vita.
Now they could just make games.
Yeah.
Maybe Baddragon will purchase the Ouya.
Maybe.
And when I say the Ouya, I mean the company. Yeah.
I got some money in the couch cushions.
Yeah.
He's got it in the doggy sit. He's dog sitting. Open it up. Got all the money. I'd like one Ouya, please, covered in blood.
Oh wow! I can play all my Vita games on the Ouya. Well done, Baddragon, though. It was good of you to keep Nintendo afloat so that they don't have to rely on their massive cash reserves.
So, I think that brings us to the end of the podcast. Does anyone have any shout-outs?
Watch my Bloodborne Let's Play. Instead of buying a PlayStation 4 and the game and dealing with it yourself, you should watch my going on 80-part Bloodborne Let's Play.
Cool. If you're watching this, you should watch the rest of Borderlands 2 with me and Sharky and the Bear, because that's almost done.
IceBear. Just IceBear.
Fuck!
Sharky wasn't in that series
That's true, he wasn't.
I mean, you were there, so you should know, really.
So, I'm terrible at that.
Just in spirit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we finished that recently. So that the last few parts of that will be going up in the coming weeks. So, yeah.
That's our longest running series, though, on VGL. The second longest running is Deus Ex, which is also another IceBear and Raven only thing. Go us. IceBear? IceBear? Are you okay, IceBear?
What? Yeah, no, I'm fine.
No, I was just saying how Deus Ex Human Revolution is our second longest running LP, and it's another one with just you and me. Mad Dragon is a slacker.
Yeah, he is. That seems like a good note to leave on. Well,
you didn't shout. What did you shout out?
Did I? No, I don't think I did. I don't know. Go try the Game of Thrones mod for Crusader.
What about a video series on like Netflix again? You did Bob's Burgers last time.
I'm still on Bob's Burgers.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Slacker. I'm gonna shout out Death Note because I just recently watched that on Netflix. That was really good.
Okay. Yeah, that can be mine as well. I haven't seen it, but sure. IceBear endorses this.
It's about a notebook of death, and this guy wants to kill all the bad people so that he can be the god of a new world.
Cool. That seems like an even better note to leave on. Death Note. Leaving it on that. Death.